Hello, 8th grade. So for day 7, what we're going to do now is we've been working with algebraic equations and we've only had one variable. And what we're going to do now, it's something a little bit more, I don't know, it might be abstract to you, but equations that have more than one variable, okay? This is an example of two equations that you see a lot, especially in science. This one, of course, being speed is equal to distance over time, and this one, of course, is being to find the density of something. You do mass divided by the volume. Okay, well, if I give you something like, for example, the distance is 300 kilometers and the time is 2 hours, and I ask you for the speed, you can very easily substitute it into the formula and go, oh, okay, well, 300 divided by 2, that's easy, right? I was traveling 150 kilometers per hour. And if I give you, for example, the mass of being 5 kilograms and the volume of being, I don't know, whatever, 100 cubic centimeters, then you could very quickly tell me the density, right? 5 kilograms per 100 cubic centimeters, and then you can reduce that. So the density would be 0.05 kilograms per cubic centimeter. Okay, well, what we want to do today, oh no, that's such an ugly line, but anyway, what we want to do today is we want to be rearranging these, okay? So for example, if I give you the speed of being 100 kilometers and I tell you that the time is 4 hours, and this is speed, so this is kilometers per hour, and I want to know the distance. Yeah, basically, you now want to isolate. Now you could substitute it in, but we want to isolate the distance, okay? So what we're gonna do is let's just take a look at this d divided by t. Now what I want to do is I want to make d, since that's the question, the subject of my formula. So I want to isolate d. Well, the same algebra rules apply, right? How do you make this number stand by itself, okay? Well, you multiply both sides by t, and you will have an expression for speed times time for distance. And of course, right? You could answer this now. You could now go, okay, 100 times 4, so you would travel 400 kilometers, okay? So here, let's take a look at this one, and let's say that the question said, isolate mass. Okay, well, right now you have d is equal to m over v, and what they're asking you for is to isolate mass. And same algebra rules, d and v, and your mass is always going to be volume times your density. Okay, now this may seem trivial, it may seem abstract, great, we're just moving symbols around, but when you get to work with a lot of formulae, being able to isolate very quickly for what you need and then to substitute the values is actually a very, very important skill. So now we're going to take a look at a couple of examples, and I will try to write neater than I did on the last page. So solve for the indicated variable. So this is a formula for the volume of a cylinder, and you'll learn this in the geometry unit. But right now, we don't have to worry about what that's for. They're just asking us to solve for h. So this guy is what we need by himself. Well, there's a bunch of stuff that's been multiplied by it, right? The pi and the r squared. So same algebra rules. Just divide by pi r squared. H is v pi r squared. So if you're given the volume and the radius and they want to know what the corresponding height is, you can now very quickly do this. And again, feel free to pause and try these on your own, yeah? So let's take a look at the n. So we've got n divided by a plus b. Well, the first thing, always get rid of the extra stuff, okay? So we're going to do n over a, cancel, cancel, and this is c minus b. Okay, now n is the subject that they want from us. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by a and multiply by a. And now, as you can see, n is already isolated. So our final expression is a times C minus B. You may have worked this out and gotten AC minus AB in your answers. That's fine. That's no problem at all. It's not wrong. Okay, now I'm gonna do semi-tricky, and then this one will be quite tricky. Okay, so here what they want is they want C. Okay, now, so we've got A is equal to half H comma B plus C. Okay, C is in the brackets, which means that you have to get rid of everything that's outside the bracket, okay? So the first thing that we're gonna do is that unlike this times half. And remember that times half is the same as dividing by 2. So I'm gonna multiply by 2, the opposite, I mean. So the 2's cancel out, right? Because multiplying by a half and multiplying by 2 will cancel it out. All right, let's see what we've got now. So now we have 2A is equal to HB plus C. Now still can't do anything for this C right now because there's this H there. All right, well, let's get rid of it. And you could multiply this in, but you don't have to. Just get rid of it, right? The faster you get rid of stuff, the better it is. So here's 2A divided by H and B plus C. Now look, there are brackets here, but they actually don't matter, right? It's B plus C. So what you could very easily do now is you could just subtract B from both sides. And you've got it. So your final expression is going to be 2A over H minus B is equal plus C. Now be careful, don't put the whole thing over H, right? It's only the 2A that's divided. The B isn't divided by H. Okay, well, if that's going okay, then hopefully you'll be able to handle this more difficult one. The reason that it's more difficult is they want us to isolate for W. And what makes this trickier than the rest of them is that W is on the bottom, okay? You can't isolate it right now, okay? So what we're gonna have to do is we have to bring it to the top, okay? And the way that we bring it to the top is you cannot split them. Remember, if you're dividing by a whole expression, it's the same as that expression having brackets around it. So I want to get rid of it being on the bottom. My life will become much easier. So I'm going to multiply both sides by n squared minus w, and we'll see how much that helps us. So we've got t n squared minus w is equal to 2. Now look, this is much more doable now, right? Maybe you're even thinking what to do next. Again, pause, try it. Okay, let's get rid of this outside. It's inside the bracket. I need to get rid of the brackets. And if I divide by t, of course, both sides, then those brackets are no longer necessary. Okay, now I still need the w, so I know your instinct is to subtract n squared, and that's okay, that's not wrong. The only thing, be very careful, this is minus negative w, so right now it is negative w. So this is going to be 2 over t minus n, okay? Now in order for this w to not be negative anymore, we need to divide by negative 1, right? Just change the sign. But if you divide this by negative 1, you need to divide, of course, that by negative 1, right? And so now negative and a negative, that's a positive. Now this is a positive, and we're dividing by a negative, so it's minus 2 over t, and a negative is a positive. So that's what we ended up with, okay? Yeah. So now you can go ahead and try some, and hopefully you'll be okay isolating for the indicated variable.